Manchester United arrived at the start of the season with a simple headline: rebuild under Ruben Amorim backed by heavy investment. The club spent in excess of £200 million on new recruits to fit a vision, a gamble meant to close the gap on rivals and reset the Old Trafford project. But headlines are cruelly literal in sport, and the opening weeks have rewritten expectation into alarm. A 3-0 defeat at Manchester City not only stung on the day, it confirmed a pattern critics are quick to name: a team that looks exposed, a game plan that opponents read, and a confidence that feels brittle.
That defeat left United with their worst Premier League start in 33 years, a stark stat that hangs over every pundit line and every fan discussion. The pain didn't stop at the Etihad.
A Carabao Cup tie that should have been a routine knockout for a giant of English football turned into one of the season's most humiliating moments. Fourth-tier Grimsby Town outplayed and then edged United in a marathon penalty shootout.
Leaving a stunned visiting side and a dressing room full of questions. The loss to Grimsby, the kind of result that punctures prestige, transformed irritation into a national talking point and gave social media a new obsession. When former club greats speak, their words land heavy. Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt, men who once ran United's midfield, have not sugarcoated what they see. Their verdict is blunt: the current system is readable, and the personnel, in their view, don't yet match the demands being asked of them. That criticism isn't just about formations on a board. It's a charge at recruitment and at whether the squad's balance has been properly built for the Premier League's demands. When legends are publicly doubtful, the narrative shifts fast from one of patience to one of crisis. At the heart of the debate is tactical identity. Amorim arrived with a philosophy, a three-at-the-back shape, and a clear blueprint for how he wants his teams to press, build, and attack. That clarity can be a strength. It becomes a vulnerability when opponents can prepare for you, when personnel struggle to execute, or when injuries force compromises. Critics argue predictability has become the problem. When every opponent knows your moves, even good players can appear ordinary. Whether that reads as coaching naivete, stubbornness, or simply the growing pains of a rebuild depends on who's speaking, but the practical result is the same. Points are falling away. Recruitment promised solutions, but signings take time to settle. Throwing money at a team does not instantly create cohesion. Football is stubborn. Rhythm, partnerships, and confidence are earned on the pitch.
United's summer departures and arrivals were designed to reshape the spine of the squad, but that reshaping has left holes as much as it has filled them. Mismatches between system and player, and moments where individuals look out of sync with one another.
Those are solvable problems, but when results go the wrong way, patience expires faster than training gains accumulate. The boardroom response is a critical subplot.
Publicly, ownership and executive leadership have so far signaled support for Amorim, describing the current period as a volatile phase of a long project. Privately, sources and reporting suggest nerves are frayed and contingency plans are quietly discussed.
That duality, outward patience, inward alarm, is classic at big clubs and explains why the manager remains in place despite damning headlines. The decision-makers now face a simple but brutal choice: back the long game while accepting short-term pain, or act decisively to change direction and absorb the reputational cost of another managerial switch. But this story is not only about decisions at a top.
It's about players who must answer the critics and restore belief.
Leadership on the pitch, intensity in midfield, sharper pressing, and fewer individual errors will be demanded in the coming fixtures. The next few matches are not merely opportunities for points, they are psychological tests. If the team can show bite, adaptability, and better collective cohesion, the narrative can shift back to one of a project finding its feet. If results keep sliding, the pressure will not only mount on Amorim but on those players who were brought to be solutions. For fans watching at home, the emotions are raw. Anger at perceived missteps, anxiety about the club's direction, and a desperate wish for a clear plan that translates into wins. For pundits, the debate has sharpened into tactical recruitment and leadership criticism. For the board, it's a chess game of timing and reputation. The truth probably sits somewhere in between. This is a messy, expensive, high-stakes attempt at rebuilding, and rebuilding in public at one of world football's most scrutinized clubs rarely moves in straight lines. So where do things go from here? The immediate answer is simple. Results. The short term will demand better performances, tactical tweaks, and urgency on the pitch. The medium term will demand evidence that the £200 spent actually created a more competitive team rather than a headline. And the long term, the one owners promised when they backed this project, will demand patience balanced with clarity. Either a revived trajectory or a change that resets the plan. For now, Old Trafford waits, the criticism grows louder, and one of the game's biggest gambles hangs in the balance.